Welcome to the Law of Time Basics. I'm your host, Ines L. Kin 229, the Red Galactic Moon. So, what is the law of time? Well, the law of time is a universal law and principle, and it states that the universe is the factor of synchronization. What is the law of time and how can it be distinguished? Well, it can be distinguished between natural time and artificial time. And natural time has a frequency of 1320. Natural time, it governs the universal order. And artificial time, it is the modern human civilization. It's what we and how we live according to our modern day times. Like I said before, I'm Kin 229, the Red Galactic Moon. I harmonize in order to purify, modeling flow. I seal the process of universal order with the galactic tone of integrity. I am guided by the power of space. Now, our galactic tone is very important because this is our conscious self, which is embodied by our galactic signature. Everyone has a galactic signature, and I want you to know your galactic signature. So just know that that is pretty much the basics or the basics of the law of time. First, starting with knowing the galactic signature. Who owns your time owns your mind. Own your time and know your mind. Now, I thought this was really interesting because a lot of times we spend so much time working for others, going to work. And when we go to work, we're basically helping out with someone else's dream. And they are owning our time, they're owning our space. So it's very important that we own our own time in the way that we want to spend our time, and do the things that we want to do so that we can build what it is that we want to build. So that's why I really love this quote by Jose Aguilar's Kin 11, the Blue Spectral Monkey, because this pretty much sums up the law of time. The law of time presents a vast new system of thought and perception that unifies science, spirituality, and art. That's what I love about it because it's a system. There is a way of embodying this practice, and it is going to help you in your holistic life. Okay, because you get to use science, which is backed by law, you could say, spirituality, okay, and you get to express this in the way that you want to, which is the art. So time factored by art, by energy, equals art. So the way that you use your time and your energy expresses the art or the life or the lifestyle that you create for yourself. And this is the 1320 frequency. So just to give a little bit of history, we're going to have to go back to the Gregorian and Julian calendar. So the Julian calendar actually was before the Gregorian calendar, and it was changed based off of there were 10 days that were missing from the calendar. And so this was introduced by Pope Gregory in 1582. And right now it is the world's most widely used civil calendar, being used in over 160 countries. It is a solar calendar based on 365 days, 65-day year divided into 12 months with a leap year rule every 4 years. Its primary purpose was to correct the inaccuracy of the previous Julian calendars, that 10-day drift that I previously told you of. Um, and this was to fix the date of Easter, which was drifting away from the spring equinox. But what we have found is that even this Gregorian calendar is very problematic. So even though the Gregorian calendar is the global standard calendar system, it is not the only calendar used. Ethiopia, Iran, Afghanistan, they have their own distinct calendar systems. And in many countries, they use alternative calendars as well. And they'll use that for religious or cultural purposes. And they'll use it alongside the Gregorian calendar. Like, for instance, in many Islamic faiths, there's an Islamic calendar, but they'll also use the Gregorian calendar. You also have the Hebrew calendar, and sometimes people will still use the Gregorian calendar. Okay. But the Gregorian calendar has so many inconsistencies. And because of that, we have now gotten to the point where we are asking questions. Why is this calendar off? So the Gregorian calendar is a 12-month irregular calendar. Okay. And we have the 13 moon calendar, which is 13 moons, but a perfected calendar. So I want you to take a moment and look at the screen. I want you to look at both calendars. Which calendar feels in sync to you? What calendar has a consistency? Which calendar has a form and structure? What do you notice? Do you notice colors? How do you notice the numbers? What else do you notice about these two calendars? So take a moment, look at the calendars, and jot down any notes that you can see. Now, I think intuitively, visually, we'll see that on the right side, which is the 13 perfect moons, the 13 moon calendar, it is very concise. Every month or moon has 28 days. We also see that the first 7 days are coded with the color of red. The next 7 days are coded with the color of white. The next 7 days are coded with the color of blue, followed by yellow. Now, that's very important because the 13 moon calendar is a magical calendar. It's a calendar of symbols to be interpreted and to be crafted by your own instincts. Okay. So red represents initiating, white refines, blue transforms, and yellow ripens. Now, if you look over to the left-hand side, the Gregorian calendar, we see blue and white. With the blue, it's kind of all over the place, not really sure why it is the way that it is. Okay. And the blue, what does it mean versus the white? It's off. It's so irregular. It's constantly going to be irregular. So it's constantly going to keep you in a state of confusion. So for those reasons, you get to decode, once again, the 13 moon calendar based off of the structure of the calendar. And also with the 13 moon calendar, you have the 13 perfect moons with 28 days each moon. And then you have one day that is the day out of time. And this is a day that is celebrated for peace, and to have, harmonic culture all throughout the world. So I think that's beautiful. So we have to thank our ancient forefathers and mothers for the work that they had put in so many thousands of years ago. The Olmecs were the first Mesoamerican civilization. This was around 1500 to 400 BCE. And this is considered the mother culture. And they laid the foundations for later civilizations like the Aztec, the Maya, and many others. Okay. And this particular culture, the Olmec culture, they were the ones who originated the calendar system, or one of the calendar systems, the 260-day Olmec and the 365-day solar calendar. They use these calendars to track agriculture and things of that nature. They were a really big civilization who had who did they planted maize, they planted beans, squash, sweet potatoes, and cotton. And they were quite instrumental in, once again, creating these systems and calendars. And because of that, we now have the interpretation of the law of time. So to your left, this gentleman here that is in front of this Olmec sculpture is Runoko Rashidi, and he is a, or was a, writer and speaker who researched and lectured on the African presence in the Americas, Asia, and other parts of the world. And he talked quite a bit about Mesoamerica civilizations and the presence of Africans in the Americas. So, what's your galactic signature? There are 260 unique possibilities. Every signature is a combination of a tribe and a tone. Our galactic signature is an aspect of our divine design, offering insight into our cosmic identity and our role on the earth. By playing the role of your galactic signature, you allow your mind, body, and spirit to vibrate to that particular frequency and broadcast it to everyone around you. So, this is very important to know your galactic signature because this is going to be one of the basics of the law of time. So there are a couple different ways that you can find out your galactic signature. The easiest way is to go to the 13moon.com, and that way you can go to the website and put in your birth date, and then it will give you your galactic signature. Now, if you don't do that, there are other ways to do it, but you would have to calculate it through a chart, which you would have to do further research to do that. So I would go ahead and take this time out, pause the video, and go ahead and decode your galactic signature. So as we go further into this presentation, you'll be able to, it will be more insightful to you personally. Captain Planet, he's a hero, going to take pollution down to zero. Okay, so Captain Planet was a cartoon that aired around 1990 to 1996, and it was created to promote environmental awareness and activism among children. So this particular cartoon I watched every Sunday before church, and we would I would sit in the living room, I would watch this cartoon intensively. I love this cartoon. This was one of my favorite cartoons. And I really was thinking about what made me want to know more about the law of time. And when I go back to my childhood, it was these type of messages that inspired me, because this cartoon was teaching children, and it taught me about the importance of the earth, and that the earth was living, and that the earth wanted to wanted you to be in harmony with it. And so that's what I learned. So just to give you a brief synopsis of the cartoon, if you've never seen it. So Gaia, who is the lady in the purple, she is the spirit of the earth. And she summoned 5 young planeteers from different parts of the world, and they each possessed a magical ring that represented an element. It was earth, fire, wind, water, heart. And when those powers were combined, they summoned Captain Planet. And he was a superhero that was dedicated to fighting pollution and environmental destruction. So the Planeteers, one came from Africa. His name was Kwame. He had the power of earth. He was actually played by LeVar Burton. North America was Wheeler, the power of fire. Europe was Linka, the power of wind. G was from Asia, the power of water. And one of the most important, but all important, was Mati from South America, who had the power of heart, and he was telepathic. And there would be like these episodes where, they would have these to the left, you will see the antagonists, the villains, and they would be running businesses and terrorizing the waters through pollution and different things like that. And they would summon their powers, and Captain Planet would come to help them to clean things up. So that's how it all started for me. So the planet Holon, this kind of goes in sync with the Captain Planet, knowing that we are not just relegated to the place that we live, but also all around the world. So, did you pause the video? Did you take your time to find your galactic signature? I hope you did, because now you're going to need it. So, find your galactic signature on the image. Now, my galactic signature is the red moon. So when I locate it, it is at the very bottom of South America, the very tip. Okay? Locate your solar seal on the planet Holon. Okay? We did that. Note what part of the earth this covers. Okay? Note the chakra, the earth family, and planet that is associated with this region. So the chakra will be the root chakra. The earth family is gateway for me. Okay. And as far as the planet, it's not shown on here, but that would be further research. But mine, I believe, is Mercury. Okay. Now, this is important to know, because we're going to talk about how you use, how you activate the nonosphere through the planet Holon. Okay. And the nonosphere is just the mental sheath of the planet. The planet is living. The planet thinks. The planet has access to our thoughts, and it has its own. And so we are activating that by knowing our planet Holon. Okay. So what we're going to do, I want you to take a moment, and I want you to put your thumb and your index finger, touch them to form a circle. Then the other 3 fingers are extended, palms are outward and upward, just like the picture above or in front of you. And this is called a mudra. This is called a seal. And a mudra is a symbolic, you could say, ritual pose. And it's primarily used with the hands and fingers, but it also can be used with the body, but mostly the hands and fingers. And it's designed to direct the flow of energy. And so this particular seal right here, it symbolizes knowledge, wisdom, and clarity of mind. So, activating the nonosphere through the planet Holon. So, you're going to identify where your archetype is, okay, and where it's located on the planet. You will have the mudra, a mudra. Now, as far as what mudra you use, because there are over 300, that will be determined by, you could say, maybe the radioplasma of the day. Okay, it could be determined by many different factors. But for this instance, we're just going to use this particular mudra. Okay, and you're going to visualize yourself in that part of the world, and you can say affirmations. You can speak positivity to that part of the land. You can say things like, I dispel all conflict between people and animals in this part of the land. You can visualize a rainforest growing extra trees. It's really up to you and how you want to create your art. But that's what you can do in that part of the land, and that is what's going to help to foster activating the nonosphere. So animal totems are very important because we share this planet with animals. And animal totems are symbols that offer significant spiritual meaning, wisdom, and help individuals navigate life's journey by unveiling meaning to our true self. Now, each moon on the 13 moon calendar has a particular animal totem. So, for the moon that we're in currently is the galactic hawk moon of integrity. So, with that being said, one thing you might want to look up is something about hawks. You might want to learn more about hawks. You know, you also can look into other ancient or even modern day totems, because they'll express their particular view on the animal based off their culture. You can look into Chinese or Native American, all different type of cultures, and see what they say about the hawk. You can also intuitively come up with ideas or what you think about the hawk. Okay, so you want to pay attention to that. You may see a hawk in real life. You may see something, can you even identify a hawk, versus the other animal, the other birds? Okay, and what makes a hawk different from a crow, right? So you want to know these things. It may be in your dreams. Okay, if it's in your dreams, that's something else to decode. You may not see it in a dream or in real life. You may see it in a cartoon or on an ad or any kind of way. And so, with that being said, you just want to take a moment and think about what's being said to you spiritually. Okay. So, for the galactic hawk moon of integrity, it's all about sharp vision. It's all about intense focus and spiritual awareness. It's about looking for messages and insights, because the hawk, it represents the ability to see the big picture, kind of like what I'm doing today with this presentation. So I feel like I'm in alignment. I'm synchronized with my animal totem, our animal totem, which is the hawk. And as you can see, for the 13 moons, we have everything from the bat to the turtle, from the jaguar to the deer, from the serpent to the peacock, the lizard, the monkey, and the dog. And there's just so much that animals have to tell us. So the 20 seals, 20 solar seals, These 20 solar seals archetypes and learn their meaning and their characteristics because they give a spiritual significance. I want you to think of these archetypes of as like a personality, because each personality has its own gifts and it has its own lessons. Okay. Um, the 20 solar seals slash tribes, and there are four directions as well, which are red, white, blue, and yellow, and they stand for east, north, west, and south. And so I would say one of the best things you can do to when you want to first start thinking about these seals, first thing you can do is start drawing them, okay, because it will help you to memorize the seal and what it looks like. Also called a seal or archetype, you could say, okay. Then once you have imprinted drawing the image, I want you to now look at the image and do an interpretation of the image. So for instance, number one is the dragon, okay, the red dragon, okay, and it nurtures and births. Well, it makes sense. It's the first archetype and it births. So that's kind of easy to remember, right? Because number one, you're birthing something, right? All right. So connect that with the archetype. Remember, the color also is important. Well, if the color is red and it stands for initiating, it is initiating to nurture something. Is it initiating to birth something? And what is that? What does that mean to you? Because this is all of this stuff is going back to you and your life. Okay. Not outside of you, but inside of you. So what are you trying to nurture? Maybe it could be you're trying to nurture um, a garden. Okay. Where do you need to start with that? Maybe you're birthing that, so that's how you would go about these archetypes, these solar seals. I say draw them. I would say interpret them, what they mean. Pay attention to the colors and what the colors represent. And then I would also say ask questions. Ask questions to the archetype. What do you want me to birth? Um, how should I communicate? What did my dream say to me last night? What did that mean? How many seeds should I plant? One, two, three, or four? What type of seed should I plant? How deep in the soil should I go? You know, and you just continue on asking questions to the archetypes, and you will receive answers, and they come from within. And also, each archetype has its own name. That's very important to note because, for instance, with the dragon, the first archetype, it's Imex. Okay. And so also understand it is Imex. So when you draw it, it's Imex, you know, and it will help to imprint, it will help you to remember the name, okay, the personality and the spiritual gifts that it's offering. The seven radioplasmas are for creating a new reality every day, every week, or heptad, every moon, every year, and so on. Following the 13th moon is a tool to help you focus your love and light in perfect harmony and ways to create a new reality. So the seven radioplasmas, it's another way that's the 13th moon way of saying that, but in the Gregorian way, we would say the 7 days out of the week, right? And so, for instance, for today, the radioplasma of today is gamma, okay? And that deals with the third eye. And each radioplasma um, it deals with a chakra. Okay. And these chakras are what you're going to use your mudras that we talked about earlier, and you're going to find the mudra that corresponds with the radioplasma. So, for instance, the third eye, which is technically the first eye, not really the third eye, it's really the primary eye, but they call it the third eye. And you're going to use your mudra, which is, according to the third eye, and you have to do some research on that. And then you could meditate on that. Okay. So every day that you do this, so 6 days a week, six days a week makes a cube. So if you do that for 6 days, you've already made a cube. The 7th day becomes the magical center of the cube. So each day you put up one side of the cube. Okay. Then on the 7th day, you go inside of it and put the 7th seal at your heart center. And we know the heart center is Cilio. Okay. And that is the 7th radioplasma. Okay. So become a radioplasma cube 4 times. So to become a radioplasma cube 4 times a moon, a cube is a perfect form of creation. Okay, let me explain that. So every plasma, every day that we are meditating, and we're meditating on our radioplasmas, we're doing our mudras, and we're meditating on our chakras. We are building a cube. And as you can see in this picture here, you see the person inside of the cube, right? And how it's sitting on top, but it constantly moves. And once you build so many different cubes together, it becomes even a bigger thing, because the 13 moon calendar is all about cycles, and it's all about momentum and building. So with that being said, we do have to be consistent with everything all of our practices, because these practices build cubes, and then 1 cube, 2 cubes, 3, 4, 5, they begin to build larger and larger sacred geometry. So the 13 tone wave spell is a process of creation, and it is in 13 steps. Now, this wave spell is very important because it helps us to create an artful life. So each particular day or plasma asks a question. And if you look to the left, the adventure wave spell, you'll see it goes from tone 1 all the way up to tone 13. And that is 13 days. So on the first day, which is represented by 1 dot, it asks a question. And it's asking you to identify a purpose. Or you could ask the question, what is my goal? And so what is your goal? Then you move on to the next particular day, and you're going to ask yourself, what are my challenges? Okay. This is now the lunar tone, and it's asking, what are my challenges? And so that's something you have to ask yourself, and then figure out how to move past the challenge. So then we're going to move on to the third tone. It is the electric tone, which is how can my goal be obtained? Okay. You've already met some of your challenges, or maybe You understand what your challenges are. So now you know how to better obtain your challenges. Obtain, yeah, pass your challenges, go past the challenges. Okay. And now we're moving into the fourth tone, which is self existing. And what is the form of the action? So now that we've gone through 4 days, it's now created a form of action. And this is what you have established from the purpose to understand the challenges. And now you've established that. So that's what that four tone is. And four is also represented by stability because it's like four legs to a table. So that gives you stability. So now that you're at that particular tone, you move into the fifth tone. Now that's the overtone. And this tone is actually extending the rhythm of action. So now you are gathering your resources, okay, because you know what you've identified as your purpose, you know the challenges. Now you got to get your stuff together, so you're going to get those things together. You move into the sixth tone, which is the rhythmic tone. um, you know, once again, what are it's going to be like, how do you balance, the tones before you and the tones after you? If you can kind of look forward a little bit and kind of forecast what you need to do throughout this wave spell, it's always a good thing to look forward. So that's kind of how I look at the sixth tone, the rhythmic tone. And it's also a tone where you have you're getting things done. You've already accomplished certain things. You know what you need to do. And so that is the sixth tone. We're moving into the resonant tone, which is the seventh tone, which is right there, slap in the middle. Okay. And so that tone, you are basically attuning, I would say, your service, whatever it is that you're doing, you're trying to attune it, you could say. Okay. So then we're moving into the next tone, the eighth tone, the galactic tone, the tone of integrity. And by this tone, you should, since you've gone through now 8 days, or 8 plasmas, you now know that whatever it is, whatever your purpose is that that you have, it's sticking. Okay. And so now you just need to know how to obtain more form to this. So so you move on. Oh, and that is, you've already now extended the rhythm of your action, and now we're moving now into another level. So we're converting everything into action. So this is the ninth tone. This is the solar tone. This is a tone where everything is being moved into action, because you've laid so many steps before. Okay. The planetary tone, manifestation. And so you're going to start seeing some fruit being bared by this, but not completely. Okay. I'm going to speed this up a little bit. We're now moving into the spectral tone. You need to dissolve like anything, any type of worries about whatever it is that you're doing. Okay. Moving into that crystal tone. This is going to formalize everything, and it's pretty much set in stone. So now all you have to do is just make sure everything is completed, to move into the cosmic tone, which takes you into magical flight, or that magnetic return of the first tone. And that is the adventure of the wave spell, and it definitely is an adventure. And when you move over to the right hand side, we'll see that those are 4 wave spells that are put together, and that makes a castle. And when you complete the castle, then you move into the green castle, which is represented by that dot in the middle. And that is 52 plasmas, or 52 days, you could say. And that is a harmonic group. Like, once you've done that, you are like set. Okay. But then you'll move into another wave spell, starting it all over again. But yeah, imagine what you could accomplish in 52 days, 52 plasmas. 1320 human holon. The 20 solar seals or archetypes are contained in 20 fingers and toes. The 13 galactic tones are contained in our 13 main articulations: two ankles, two knees, two hips, two wrists, two elbows, two shoulders, and one neck. Our physical bodies resonate with the earth through our tribes, tones, clans, and earth families. And so just know that when you're putting your hands in the mudras, each particular finger, each particular toe, it is correspondent with the archetypes, and so when you know that what finger represents which archetype, or what foot, or what toe represents which archetype, and you put those things together, you can now decode even more. Okay. And as you do these mudras and you visualize um, for health, you visualize for planetary consciousness, you visualize for peace, whatever it is that you want to do. Our bodies are energetically connecting with one another when we do this, because everything just kind of goes through your fingers into your whole body systems, and all of it, the knees, the ankles, the wrists, the hips, they all are working together to make you become more and more energetic. So this is something that I think is kind of advanced, because it takes so much time to first get the archetypes down, and then understand the archetypes, decoding them, and then corresponding it with your hands and your feet and all of your main articulations of your body, and that we walk every day on the earth. Hopefully, I haven't done it in a long time, but go outside without shoes on and plant yourself on the earth and get that energy, and also you can give planet earth the things that you don't want, because she knows what to do with. Dispel some of that negative energy into the earth, because she knows what to do with it. So that is the 1320 human holon. And we use our visualization, we use meditation, we use the radioplasmas, which are corresponded with our chakras. We use all of our body and our mind in order to harmonize with the planet, harmonize with ourselves, harmonize with people and animals. Engaging the mental spheres. Study of and meditation on the hollow mind perceiver prepares the mind to open to galactic dimension and receive an entirely new base of knowledge and perception. The hollow mind perceiver is activated through diligent application and study of cosmic history and disciplined applications of the 441 matrix codes, as they are regulated through the synchronic order. And I would like to say that the mental spheres are always activated as we walk and talk and live our lives. But to consciously engage in the mental spheres is another elevation of study. And so by studying the science and being in tune with the spirituality, we create our life as art, and time factored by energy is art. So I hope today that you were able to understand a little bit more about what the law of time is and how it can be beneficial to you. See, when I was a child and I was sitting on the floor in the living room and I was watching cartoons, I felt that intense feeling of love for the earth. And now that I'm an adult, I still feel the same way. And I feel like if we all come together and we bring together our archetypes, our unique galactic signatures, we can bridge that together as one. See, our ancient forefathers and mothers, they laid a solid foundation to overstanding the cycles of life. It's now time to contemplate on how to be back in tune with natural frequencies of 1320, because life can be experienced as art. And I would say unify to uplift humanity, because that is the only way. Thank you so much. Peace out, Kin 229, Ines L. I'm the Red Galactic Moon. Peace.